everyone, welcome to this update video. I trust and hope that you're doing really great this morning, and we're going to be taking a look at what is going on across the North Atlantic Basin. Now, we've got major hurricane KIRK. Yesterday, KIRK rapidly became a major hurricane, and it had peak winds last night of 125 miles per hour, making it just shy of a Category 4 hurricane. But since then, a bit of dry air has intruded the circulation and has thus resulted in a bit of weakening. However, KIRK is going to be in a conducive environment to allow for additional strengthening, and it is still expected to make it to Category 4 hurricane status. We're going to be looking at it in a bit of detail. We'll also be talking about that spot highlighted in the Gulf. Fortunately, the formation chance has been down, and that's some really great news, especially considering everything that happened recently. And then there's a newly formed tropical storm Leslie out there, which is expected to become a hurricane within the coming days. And so let's get straight into the details. All right, so here we are looking at the satellite imagery of the North Atlantic, and we can see Hurricane KIRK quite apparent out there. And then there is Leslie as well. And aside from those two, as we take a look in the Caribbean, we can see that there are some scattered showers around this morning. That little cluster right in the vicinity of the Cayman Islands. So it's a pretty wet morning for parts of the Cayman Islands, and even a couple spots in Central America as well. But for many of us, we're going to be waking to some beautiful sunshine this morning. And as it relates to the rainfall forecast for today, here we are seeing it again with that cluster of showers and thunderstorms in the Northwest Caribbean. It's going to be a wet day for some areas such as parts of Cuba, especially in the west, and even for the Cayman Islands, especially Grand Cayman. And as we look towards Central America, we can also see some color, and there's still that tropical depression which is in the area affecting the southern Mexican coast with a lot of rain. So there could be isolated totals up to 12 inches in some areas, a lot of heavy rain in parts of southern Mexico, which is definitely flood triggering rainfall occurring there. And then elsewhere in parts of Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, there could be some downpours around here and there. And then as we head to northern South America, similar thing. So for the Guyanas, maybe a little bit wetter compared to the past several days. And also some scattered showers around for parts of the ABC Islands, that's around Antilles, go into the vicinity of Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Hispaniola, a couple spots in Jamaica as well, and sections of the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Islands. So overall, there isn't a major system at this time to produce a plethora of rain in the Caribbean. Again, we've got that depression over in the Pacific affecting Mexico, but aside from that being nearby, there isn't anything else really going on. But looking at KIRK in a bit more detail, here is the major hurricane on satellite imagery. Now, it's not looking as impressive compared to last night. This was last night, and we can see those very deep shadings of those grays and even those purples, very, very tall clouds, lots of convection, and even with those white dots, those are indicative of lightning strikes. So it was intensifying, but as I mentioned at the start of the video, there's been some dry air intrusion, and when that happens, it helps the system to weaken a little bit. So it's now down from 125 to 120 miles per hour. But if KIRK can mix out that dry air and take advantage of the environment it is still in, no doubt that it will definitely reach Category 4 hurricane status. And for now, the peak winds expected by the National Hurricane Center are 140 miles per hour. And last night they were at 150. So there's been a 10 mile per hour drop off in the peak intensity anticipated. So let's see what KIRK does throughout today. Let's see if it takes advantage of the environment and fights off that dry air. But the good news with all going on right now with KIRK is the fact that it is offshore. It's not going to affect land aside from the swells, because I mean, there's going to be that danger of rip currents. The seas are going to be very unsettled for the Lesser Antilles, Bahamas, and even for Bermuda as well. So even though it's so far away, its influence will be far from where the main system is, because it is going to be generating those more unsettled seas out there. So that's especially as we're going to be heading into this weekend. Now, looking at the cone forecast, KIRK is forecast to remain a major hurricane through Sunday, and eventually it's going to be picking up in its acceleration out to the northeast and also moving into a more unfavorable environment. The wind shear is going to increase. There's going to be those cooler sea surface temperatures, so it is going to gradually weaken, and by Tuesday it could become a post-tropical cyclone out there. For now, though, it is moving to the northwest at 10 miles per hour. And as I said, peak winds 120 miles per hour with additional strengthening expected. Now, we have a new tropical storm Leslie. What's going on with her? Let's go ahead and take a look at the cone forecast for it. So Leslie formed yesterday, and it is likely to become a hurricane as we're going to be heading into the next couple of days. So as of right now, it is sustaining maximum winds up to 40 miles per hour and moving to the west very slowly at 6 miles per hour. So now, there isn't going to be a dominant area of high pressure to steer Leslie westward, thankfully. So it's a similar thing with what's happening with KIRK right now. So thankfully, it's going to be moving up and out. But it is definitely likely to become a hurricane as we're going to be heading into the weekend. So not going to be a bother for anyone over the coming days. As for this area in the Gulf, as I mentioned, the formation chance has decreased. 30% chance through 7 days, 0% chance through the next 2 days. So it's unlikely that there's going to be an imminent tropical cyclone developing. However, the probability is still there that we could see something form. And we'll see what eventually happens as we're going to be heading into the new week. The Gulf is still highlighted, but it definitely looks as though whatever forms, if it forms, it's not going to be something very, very strong, especially something comparable to Helene, because Helene was such a catastrophic disaster in the United States. There have been so many deaths, so many people are still missing. So it's just very unfortunate right now in parts of the United States which have been severely affected by the hurricane. So I'm really happy that this system here, especially when it was marked, it didn't actually take advantage and develop quickly into something and move up to the Gulf, because that would just be something that we don't want to see. So thankfully, there has been a delay in that, and there has been a decrease in that formation chance, because remember, it was all the way up at 50% of that at one point, but now it's been down to 30%, going from code orange down to code yellow. Great news right there. So aside from those systems, guys, nothing else is of note in the Atlantic basin. Just wanted to bring you up to speed with what is going on. So I'll keep you posted as necessary, though. And that is essentially what I wanted to share with you in this update video. And I trust and hope you found it to be informative. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll respond to you when I can. And remember to always be weatherwise.